I'm Brian Van, here today with a friend of mine, Charlie V from Pitbull.
What's up, Brian?
How you doing, brother?
Great.
It's good to see you. Every time we come down to Barber Motorsports Park, we stop in and see our friends here at Pitbull. And this time we've got a relaunch for a product to talk about.
That's right. Our steering stabilizer. We've got going forward with our product. We have of course our patented mounting system. We've gone to everything is no drill, no tap, so installation is very simple and very solid. We went to extra measures to make the bracketry so that you get a solid mount and still can install it easily.
Without any drilling.
Exactly.
Personally, I didn't think the drilling was a big deal. I had a bike that I put a Pitbull on. I've used a couple of them, and I drilled and I didn't.
Right.
But some of the guys with the street bikes, it's different than a race bike to them. You know, we look at these things, it's like a tool, it's like a hammer. It's going to get scratched, it's going to get dented. You get a guy with a street bike, they're beautiful, you know, and they want to keep them looking that way, so drilling a hole in something, not so desirable.
Exactly.
So I think that's definitely a good move. The damper's always been a great piece. I've always had great success with it. I've used it on pretty much every bike I've had since you introduced it. Let's talk about the warranty, because that's pretty sweet.
Okay. Yeah, we're doing a lifetime warranty on these things. The product's been out for several years now, and service life is really good. A lifetime warranty is an easy thing for us to do, and we are now offering a total rebuild every 2 years for a customer.
And that's included in the purchase of the...
Exactly.
That's pretty sweet. Not everyone knows that a damper, it's like a shock or a set of forks. You really need to get in there and have it serviced every couple of seasons, get the fluid changed, have it inspected, and then get it back.
It's worth looking at anyway. Sometimes it doesn't need anything, but anything that holds oil or any fluid needs a little bit of attention from time to time.
All right, here we go. We're going to install it now on one of my 2008 Yamaha R6s. Really easy install with this no drill kit for sure. It's fast. It's even faster on a race bike because you're missing all that stock trim. There's one primary difference between putting it on a race bike with aftermarket clip-ons and a stock bike with stock clip-ons, and that is?
That's correct. The stock clip-ons are going to have there's a threaded hole that keeps the handlebar from rotating. We use that as our mount for aftermarket clip-ons. You don't normally have that. It's free and clear underneath, so you're just going to run the screw through and put a nut on the bottom of it.
Then you supply a 6mm nylock nut.
That's correct.
All of our fasteners, we're going to put a little bit of Loctite on. Here we go. This kit's really easy to do on this bike. Okay. We've got two spacers that are going to drop right into these recessed holes here on the top triple clamp, like so. Here is the no drill mounting bracket. I've removed the hole from the gas tank mount here. I've removed a bolt that holds on the ram air snorkel as well. Okay, and that's where this bracket is going to attach to the frame up front. Loosen this bolt. If it comes assembled, loosen this bolt so you just have a little bit of laxity in this. It's just going to make it easier to kind of thread it down in there. Go ahead and take the bracket and slide it in. You kind of wiggle your clip-ons around a little bit to get it in place, like so. It's going to drop right in there.
Always check your cable clearances too as you're installing it, and after you're done, make sure you have a full sweep of the handlebars. Make sure everything clears like it should.
A little bit of blue Loctite on the fastener, like so. And as you get going here too, don't go tightening everything down immediately, okay? Just kind of get it started, get it close, but there is no need to tighten it all up immediately. You want to get the kit put together on the bike and then tighten everything up. One of the things that I like to do when I put on the Pitbull damper, I like to put a little bit of grease on the shaft that goes through this bearing right here. We've already done that. Because that's actually when the handlebars are turning back and forth, that does move a little bit there.
It does. If there's any misalignment, that's intended to allow the shaft to slide in and out of the bearing. That's part of one of the degrees of freedom that allows the damper not to get damaged if there is any misalignment.
And especially on race bikes, misalignment happens.
It does.
After a while, you know, you have a tip over.
Hopefully not on this race bike.
It's already been there. That's okay though. A little bit of blue Loctite. And we've got our 6mm nylock nuts. Just so you're aware, a nylock nut, essentially what we have here, on the one end of the nut, there's just a simple nylon insert, and it acts like a thread locker, okay?
Just makes a little resistance there.
Obviously, just the metal portion, the threaded metal portion goes up towards the fastener, and the nylon portion will face away from the fastener. Most people know that, but I'm not sure that everybody knows that. Easy way to get that started if you have aftermarket clip-ons is just use the Allen like so to rotate the bolt and then hold the nut underneath with your fingers. In your opinion, is there any particular order we should snug this down in, or?
It's not too critical at this point. Probably the triple clamp mount and then the frame mount.
Okay. You know, and in terms of torque, you know, I was a mechanic for a long time at a Cadillac dealership, so I've got a good feel for that. You know, if you don't be afraid to, you know, look inside your, you know, your factory repair manual. Get some torque settings for things like this gas tank bolt, for like the bolts here, right, for the stock clip-on retainers.
Right.
And even for this bolt down here on the Ram Air. I mean, the manual should have a torque spec for just about everything, so if you don't feel totally comfortable just tightening it up, take a minute, go ahead and crack open that secret document.
We actually do have a torque spec on the sheet too.
Oh, do you? Okay,
yeah.
all right.
So it's 7.3 pounds for a 6mm screw.
I'm sure everybody follows that too.
Oh yeah.
How many positions of adjustment do we have with this damper?
This one's got 20 from soft to hard.
How well do you feel you're able to notice the difference between each click? How did you, you know, during the design phase, you know, what did you use as kind of a benchmark between each click?
Well, we've got a detent, an actual spring-loaded ball that falls into a dent. It's gives you a good solid feel when you go to each setting.
So it's really clear where you've got it. One of the really nice things about a damper of this style, a top mount damper with a big knob, is let's say that you're out on track and you started off with a light setting, which you want to start off as light as possible, less effort, less energy to ride. You start getting some head shake. You don't have to pull off track. You can take the left hand off the clip-on a straight, give it a couple of clicks, and you can actually feel it. It's a very positive
Correct.
engagement.
And a lot of guys dial it down when they go in the pits and dial it back up when they get back on the track, and just get a mental note of where it is each time, and you always go back to the same setting when you're on the track.
Exactly. There you go. That's it. And I got to tell you too, the anodizing this time, the black anodizing, that's a nice touch.
Good.
Gives it, I think, a lot cleaner look on the motorcycle, no doubt about it. I remember the old kits, they were silver.
Yes, yes.
It stood out a little bit more, you know, and I think the black kind of blends in and gives it a real factory appearance. How many colors do we have the damper available in the unit itself?
We offer the damper itself in black, red, blue, and gold. Those are all bright dip anodized. Very, very shiny finish.
The finish holds up real well too, because like I said, I've had these on multiple bikes before, and I've never had an issue with it fading or discoloring or anything like that.
Good.
You know, years in the sun, it's done very well by us for sure. Anything to add?
that's about it. You might make a note that at this point, if you do need to lift the airbox cover off the front of the tank, at this point you can disconnect. You can actually leave the lower leg on the bike and undo this portion and hinge the damper out of your way.
On the R6.
Correct. And on yes, and the GSX R600 is the same situation. You can leave the leg down there and just raise the actual frame mount out of the way, and the legs that just basically stays part of your bike.
Now, I'm going to ask you a question that it's probably a little bit ignorant, but wouldn't this one bolt here be enough to stabilize that? I mean, if, let's say somebody else had a damper out there and they had just one bolt holding the mount on here. Is that sufficient? I mean, do you think that that 6mm fastener could take all that torque?
It might, but in certain circumstances, it's better to have that secure mount, not only just for the overall strength, but just to keep the whole system from rotating, keep all the movement out of it.
There is actually a lot of force here, isn't there?
There can be.
If you have it tight, there can be a lot of force that's right there, and you got to remember, this isn't something that it only gets used once in a while. If you have a damper on your bike, every time the handlebars are turned,
right,
there's force there.
Right, and if you have an event that a crash or a near crash, there could be a tremendously larger amount of force.
Because it's abrupt.
And that's when you want it. That's when you want your damper.
No, yeah, absolutely. All right, man. I appreciate it. I'm excited to go ride on this tomorrow for sure. Thanks, Charlie.
My pleasure. Thank you.